Welcome to InConversation, folks. We come to you from Washington, D.C. My name is Ramesh
And I'm Anisha Abraham.
Well, the health care debate, as everyone knows, is hot in the country, even though President Obama is on vacation. But he's been doing these town halls. He's been talking to people, trying to explain, and I like that. He's not sending his health secretary. He's going personally. He's totally invested in it. And I thought it would be a good idea, you being a physician and I being, a user of the services, that let us see if we can debate the health care plan. What do you know about the health care plan, and where should it go?
Well, I think the big issue, Ramesh, has to do with this public or government insurance-backed plan. It certainly has become a lightning rod. It's one that's become very polarizing. It's one that currently Kathleen Sebelius, who is the Health and Human Services Secretary, is saying they're trying to maybe back away from. But I actually, as a physician, think it's a very important part of the plan. I certainly hope that it will be incorporated as government moves forward. As a primary care physician, as a pediatrician, I certainly see a number of young kids that are underinsured, don't get the coverage, as a result go to emergency rooms and go to other places because they don't have access to care. And I think it's very important, again, that this public option and government-backed option be incorporated into the health plan.
I completely agree with you. At least I have used these services when I was young at India, so I understand a little bit what they're trying to do. First, let me clear it up. In India and other places, you get primary physicians, which is called dispensaries, small government centers, 6 rooms, 7 rooms. You have a dispensary, you break a bone or something else, they even fix you up there. And anything major, you have a choice whether you can go to a private doctor, whether you go to the government hospitals. And that's how it generally works in Canada and England and other places. What the government wants here, what President Obama wants, that, look, we got 42 million, no insurance to them. They need to be brought into the system. They need to be cared for. And the only way to care for them is for the government to take some of those functions. And I really think that the public option is the best option. Everybody knows that the public education is done by the local governments. For instance, D.C., they got about 85,000 students. Same thing, you should look at it as if you have 80 or 85,000 patients every day. I mean, if you can teach 85,000 students, you can treat 85,000 patients on an everyday basis. The option should be that there should be 60 or 70 clinics in Washington, or for that matter in Fairfax County, with a few hospitals that people can go to. And everybody has an option that if they want to jump from there, they want to go to private doctors, they can either have an insurance or pay cash. I think that is the best model that works, that ensures that everyone has health insurance and everyone is taken care of.
I completely agree with you, Ramesh. And believe it or not, the government currently has a public model, and that's in the military. And the military actually has free care to any of its members and certainly for any of its dependents. And I, as a military physician, I was in the military for many years, had the opportunity to see how that system worked. And I have to tell you, it really made a lot of sense. People got in, they were able to go to their physicians, they actually were able to get medications. There wasn't really a backlog. It seemed to make a lot of sense, and there was a lot that happened in terms of risk reduction that I think was also very important in that system. So it can coexist side by side with private models, and I think that's, again, what the president is recommending. But again, he's received a lot of backlash as a result of this.
You're absolutely right. The VA model works. It totally works, and that's what they want to make sure comes in with the general public at large. I like that. Of course, insurance companies, as you know, they don't want to take any existing conditions. Their business is to make money. Their business is not to really be in the business of totally making sure that they care for your health. They care for their business. So the idea is government is the only entity that can care for your health. And I also feel we should use the schools to impart the education of nutritious food and exercise. They are in a position to control both of those items, and they should do that. And I think government should insist it, parents should insist it.
And kids should have access to care. That's what I think. Americans have one of the shortest vacation periods compared to people from any part of the world. For example, Americans have about 4 weeks of paid vacation. That's compared to about 8 weeks for people in Scandinavian countries. What the irony is that school children actually have the longest vacation period compared to children anywhere in the world, and in fact have the shortest school day. They have about 180 days of school, and that's compared to 200, for example, for children in East Asia. And what they say is that having about a 20-day deficit doesn't seem like a lot, but it does add up. So after about a 15-year period, that's about 200 days of school, which is almost more than a school year. And what they're saying is that the amount of vacation and the way that Americans actually put their vacation time continuously also can have an effect. For example, in Europe, people tend to break the vacation time into very small amounts of time, whereas in America, again, school children usually have 3 months continuously. And there are concerns, and this is from an article in The Economist, that this long vacation time can actually act as a mental eraser. And academics have actually coined the term, and they call it summer learning loss. And they feel that young people can actually forget about a month's worth of instruction as a result of simply being away from school for that period of time. And they also feel that children that are poor are at higher risk for having this summer learning loss. Now, what's the impact? Why is this really important? What they're finding is that these long vacation periods and sometimes the shorter school days are leaving American children ill-equipped to compete. In fact, American kids are performing poor compared to other international kids when it comes to educational testing. And in fact, they come in compared to Asian children that spend less money on education but work harder, their test scores are much lower. McKinsey Company, which is a management consulting company, has actually done a study, and they argue that the lagging performance of U.S. students actually has wreaked more devastation on this economy than the recession has. And it's certainly something that President Obama is actually taking note of, and he's actually really now looking into some educational reform, one of which is trying to now increase the amount of time that kids spend in school and maybe decrease their summer vacation. So it's probably not going to help Obama in the popularity polls when it comes to school children, but it may actually help their educational performance.
I remember a dialogue from when I was young. It was, idle mind is a devil's workshop. And yes, if the kids are going to get too much of their vacation, and you're right, if they stay away from books too long, that's what happens. But slowly, they are reducing it. Used to be the school opened a day after the Labor Day weekend, but now the schools are opening a week before the Labor Day weekend. I hope they do it 3 or 4 weeks before, and you're right. They need to be connected. They need to just go from page 100 to page 101, not after 3-4 months, but about a month later, right?
I agree, and in fact, there are now some chartered schools that are using a model where they have schools open from 7:30 till about 5 o'clock in the evening, and in fact, they also go through Saturday, and they actually go through the summer and have less summer holiday, and those children are actually performing much better with tests in the United States than kids that are in shorter school periods. So there's something to be said about this.
If they can have fun in the school, I would like